Good afternoon. We'll call to order this afternoon's meeting on Thursday, August 25th, 2022 of the Selkirk Fire Service Joint Powers Board. In attendance at this meeting, we have Commissioner Will Gadsby representing Westside Fire District, Commissioner Jim Woodward representing Sagal Fire District, and our Sandpoint representative, primary representative, Councilwoman Kate McAllister is absent today. If you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, Chief.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a few members of the public here. Any public comments today?
Hey, Merlin Glass, City of Dover, just a little update for us over there. We just completed our 22-23 budget. And we got a first phase of the 12-inch line that's going to reinforce the hydrant system out there, fixing to start. The marina has planned for 50 new boat flips. So you can imagine that that just adds to the issues with boaters and activities at the marina. And we've had a delay on the station painting in Dover. The painting contractor had to adjust their timeline on it, so, but it's still in the works. That's it.
Thank you for the update, Councilman. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Those 50 new slips are in already.
What's that?
Those 50 new slips are in already. It's not.
No,
I've already invoiced for them. So they're in.
the slips aren't, but the perimeter is, right.
The slips are in. Yeah, so all the slips are in now. That's the,
Well, what's that last row out there then, where they're just tying up?
oh, that last row is just the boardwalk.
Oh, it's a boardwalk only?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think there'll be any more slips on top.
I thought on the inside they would put it additional.
Not planned right now.
Visitor boat parking.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Any announcements from the board or staff? Okay. Next item is approval of our last meeting minutes. These are July 28th meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Joint Powers Board meeting minutes for July 28th, 2022. Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, minutes passed. Financial report, Sarah. Or Chief's report, sorry. I jumped right past the
Sarah's way
chief.
more important than me, so. none of that meeting.
I'm just
None of-
moving us along.
Yeah,
today.
none of this happens without Sarah, so trust me. Yeah, so just some announcements to start off with. I've been asked to and have began participating in the Lake Pend School District's District Safety Task Force. We meet every Monday afternoon, and it's just basically going over different topics about how to create a more safe environment for students to attend school in. Everything from security badges to fences, it's just all about that. And all about protocols and processes for if an emergency happens, what are the next steps and what are we gonna do? So, and it's that task force is made up of not only myself, but there's an EMS representative and several law enforcement agencies throughout the county and throughout the Lake Pend School District are all in on this. So we've got, I think in the next week or so, we have a tabletop coming up. So we'll be working on kind of ironing out some of the kinks. So I'm very just happy to be a part of that because it all starts with safety of the kids at school. So we have as Selkirk Fire has partnered with the Better Together Animal Alliance, and that project that we work on with them is right now is it's a chip reader for people that have lost their pets. So if someone finds one, they can take it to the fire station and use the chip reader. And that, I guess the gist of it is it gives you the number to call, and then that person picks up the phone and then they figure out, you know, who the pet belongs to, and they call the owner of the pet and let them know that they have them up there. We're one of several agencies that are taking part in this. We only have 2 stations that we're doing it at, and that's Kerrywood and Renko. We have our equipment there, but we're just a little bit shy of kicking off that campaign. There's a couple other agencies that still need to get their equipment in before we kick that off.
How did you select what stations to do?
We kind of went with the furthest ones out, because thinking that if somebody was closer in, they would just, you know, go ahead and make the effort to take them all the way into to Pend Oreille. These are just the furthest out. The original one was to put it at the Dover station, but I mean, they're close enough here to town that they would probably just run that, you know, that animal over. So we're thinking the furthest stations out, and it's just, again, it's a pilot program. They got a grant for this program. So we were happy to be a part of it. So. And the last one I have is we went ahead and placed the order for our turnout gear for next year. The ones that we had budgeted for, they take about anywhere from 7 to 9 months to get those in. We're not invoiced for them until we get them, but we pay the price on the date that we ordered. So October 1, we were going to see a 3 to 5% increase in the cost of that gear. And we didn't budget a 3-5% increase. So we went ahead and ordered that, and hopefully that stuff will be in around February timeframe, hopefully no later than March, depending on the supply chain. The incident review for this last month of July was at Sagal. It was 114 total incidents. Sagal had 50, Sandpoint had 52, and Westside had 12. For training, we have a couple of online hosted courses that some of our firefighters have taken over the last month. One was on mental health awareness. Another one has been on pipeline emergencies. And those were the 2 online courses. And then we just found out the other day that we may have an acquired structure to do some training on here in Sandpoint. One of the local residents has bought another property as an investment, and the house has to go. So she's approached us to see if we'd like to train in it and do some burns in it. So we're going to go walk that structure tomorrow with her around 11:30, I think, just to see if it's viable. And if it is, we should be able to get a lot of real good dry training out of it, as well as inviting in some of the other agencies that are, you know, some of our neighboring agencies to come up. These are not, you don't come across these very often. So when they happen, you try to get as much use of them out of them as you can. For maintenance, just over the last month, the aerial had its annual service, and it passed all the phases of the non-destructive testing. The crews right now are in the process of conducting the vacuum test on our apparatus for the pumps, and that's ahead of our annual pump service testing that'll take place in late September and early October. And right now, MES is on our different sites of our stations doing SCBA inspections and testing. And they're also inspecting a recall notice that was sent out for that model SCBA. And if we had any issues with those, they'd be replacing those parts. The last thing I have is for community engagement. We have a Fill the Boot campaign. We'll be going on Labor Day weekend on September 3rd from 8 to 3, and that's benefiting the MDA, which are those of you that are as old as I am, remember the old Jerry Lewis telethon. That's the MDA. And on October the 8th, very happy to announce that we'll pick back up with our open house to kick off Fire Prevention Week. We haven't had one in the past couple of years due to COVID, but we're pretty excited about kicking that back off this year. And that's it for the chief's report.
So is the Fill the Boot, is your location at Super One?
Yes, ma'am. Be at Super One from 8 to 3.
Excellent.
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to training, do you do training with the Vista Northern Lights ever?
On occasion, yeah, we do. We haven't, I think the last outside agency thing that we really did was with BNSF, and that was an ice rescue course. We haven't had one yet with the Vista or Northern Lights this year that I know of.
It might be interesting to hear or read the policies. The electric utility industry, after the California fires, most utilities have adopted, for legal liability purposes, have adopted some policy on intentionally shutting off power,
Mhm.
either due to wind conditions and potential for fire. So you might want to get in touch with them. It hasn't changed drastically, I don't think, but there's a lot more consideration given to it, to the idea of shutting down power, which could be a real, and it could be a hindrance to the firefighting effort, especially if people can't, if their well is out, or if their well's turned off, and they might be taking care of themselves normally, and then they can't.
Right.
So
Yeah, we can definitely check in with those guys. I know that the last North Idaho, sorry, not North Idaho, but the Bonner County Fire Chiefs, when we met, we had a rep from Avista in 2 months ago. And they wanted to do a program where we're kind of like the first eyes on. I guess if something trips and it doesn't show on their system that it trips back, it would be easier just to have us go look and see if the line's still up, kind of a thing. For the high power or for the big lines, right?
transmission.
Yeah, and but he was working on an MOU and I haven't seen that one yet, so we wanted to see what that looked like first, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. We got an announcement about updated grant guidelines through Homeland Security and FEMA. And with increased federal share for projects. And if it's in the hazard mitigation plan, eligible expenses now for underground utilities.
Yeah,
I saw that one.
Northern Lights is doing a fair amount of overhead to underground right now. On that kind of program.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Which is interesting. It really hadn't been identified as an opportunity necessarily through this in the past. So we hadn't identified that as an opportunity in our hazard mitigation program, but as a priority for the city, one of the goals that we've had and we've been working with Avista is trying to underground utilities throughout town. So that we're going to have to go back and relook at that because that's a opportunity
Good
for a
funding
funding source. Yeah.
That was it.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief? Right, Sarah, on to you with financial report.
Excellent. Up on the screen is the fire station wages and benefits by station. We are 20.5 pay periods through the 26th of the year, with 5.5 remaining, which is 78.85% of the year spent or of pay periods gone. So out of that, you can see here the percentage spent over on the right-hand column. This month, there was 2 pay periods in July. There'll be 2 in August and 3 in September. So other than that, if you have any questions, any detailed questions, Chief can answer, or we can look into more detailed questions if you have any.
You said it was 2 in August and 3 in September.
Yes. And then there was a little bit of overtime, it looks like, in Sandpoint station this month compared to others. Other than that, if any details, Chief can answer those. You want to pull if there are any other questions or anything to note? We'll move on to the JPA admin. This is through July as well. 66.82% spent. The yellow box there for the year. 2 more months remaining with September being accrued back. So they'll see that one being a little larger than the normal month. Other than that, it is right on cue for being spent out for the year. Nothing unusual to note there. If you have any questions, there's detail in the have everything spent for the month and the following ones, but we won't go into the detail there. That was all part of the packet. So.
Protecting you out for this wildland fire.
Of course it is. Okay, and on that note, thank you guys for coming.
We'll wait 10 minutes, see if you come back.
Thank you, Chief.
I think it might be a little more than that, but thank you.
Any questions for Sarah on financial report? Okay. Moving on to new business, and this is informational only. No action is requested on this today. At the last city council meeting, as council was adopting the city budget, we had presented to council a proposal of a one-time salary market adjustment for Sandpoint employees in the amount of $13.50, and this was across the board for employees to address inflationary costs, recognizing what's happening in the market. For us being multi-purpose, multi-service jurisdictional agency, we have some of our areas certainly in the city where we are seeing wage escalations in other areas, and it affects retention and recruitment. And primarily this was really about retention of our employees. And council approved doing a one-time adjustment as opposed to a COLA, where we're building time over time in terms of looking at future sustainability, looking at that balance between projects and programs and our M&O operational costs. And so we would be looking at making this salary adjustment in November 30th. Is that the date that we landed on, Sarah?
Black Friday, whichever
I
day
know it
that is.
ends up being
25th, yep.
25th of November. They approved it for all employees across the city, certainly subject to fire employees, with this being something to be considered and approved for potential approval by the fire districts, recognizing that you have your own budgets that you've got to work in as well. And in accordance with our negotiations with the fire union and priorities we heard back, they're all on the same pay scale, and keeping that consistency amongst that group. So it was approved for all employees of City of Sandpoint, subject for fire employees to approval by the two districts. So I know the chief is planning on bringing that to the district boards for consideration. I did want to make the JPA board aware of that as well. This kind of moved through pretty quickly as we were taking a look at our year end, where we were with budget, and our proposed budget to pay for this cost was from position savings from unfilled positions. So we're not taking out of projects, capital, anything else. It's not one-time money coming from a one-time source. This was one-time savings from salary and benefits. Certainly recognizing for the two districts that when we're looking at budget in terms of salaries, benefits and overtime, you're a bit over. And we've had discussions with that at the last few JPA board meetings. So I'm certain that will be a consideration on the other side on JPA administration with the unfilled assistant fire chief position. That's where we had identified cost savings on our end, potentially cost savings for the two districts, but fully respect that this is ultimately a financial decision for the district boards to make, and whether it fits into the budget and whether you have those savings.
Does this come out of this year's budget or next year after October 1st?
We're taking it out of position savings from this year's budget. Obviously that would, so we have carry forward in our budget and where we have the savings, and obviously with the timing looking at for the districts, whether you have that same opportunity or whether you have some position savings looking forward with the assistant fire chief position. And I know the chief is prepared again to have those discussions with the district boards. I did talk to him and make him aware of this. I know he had gone through and looked at the analysis in the budget before this went to council.
It's $13.50.
1350. And the goal was really where we landed at with that was what it amounts to kind of across our workforce. is it averages out to what essentially would be a 2% COLA on average. So it's a 2% bump for employees. Again, that's averaging it out over the whole group. We also had a goal that take home on this would be at $1,000 for people after taxes and benefits, because Percy's still going to come out of this, your taxes are still going to come out of this. So that was our goal, was trying to looking at that what would this mean in terms of a number and a COLA number, and then also what would that mean for employees in terms of something meaningful for a take home. Part of what that drove this for us again too is looking at what Bonner County's doing with wage adjustments. They've got some significant wage adjustments, particularly in road and bridge, as well as over in patrol and police. And as we've tried to look at these issues, we look at making a change like this as much as possible. We try to look at the whole workforce and what benefits across our whole workforce. So, and again, at a flat amount, it's actually our front lines where we're starting to see more of the competition that actually see that greater bump in terms of percentage than at our higher ends. Okay, that's all I have on that. With that, the next item on our agenda is proposal to convene in executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206-1J to consider labor contract matters authorized under 74-206-A1A and B Idaho Code. Is there a motion?
I motion to convene an executive session. I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are convened into executive session.
Okay, we're going to stop the recording now, and when they come out of executive session, they will immediately adjourn.